everybody, today we're going to go on how to load and unload your equipment. There's a lot of opinions on this. Everybody can kind of keep their opinions for now. This is my opinion. I've been operating for 25 years, and I mean, longer if you count growing up in a cab with my dad on the farm at 6 years old. I've been around equipment my entire life, been driving it since I was 8, and excavators are probably one of the scariest things that you can mess up on and one of the most handy things you can have. So we picked a model that's a little bit more responsive model, so it's one of the electric motor units. Electric motors are instant power, constant power, so I wanted to do it with a machine that's a little bit more responsive. You know, anybody can get on a very fluid, slow RPM, slow PSI unit and look like an experienced operator. You know, it's a machine that has a little bit more responsiveness and you're trying to feather it, that it would make sense. I wish we would have went with a little bit higher trailer, but again, I'm gonna give you all the basics on the boom being, this boom is gonna act like an arm for you, okay? So when you're getting on and off that machine, or the trailer, I mean, and it should feel like an extension of your body. And again, there's a lot of people that are gonna say, no, Nick, do it this way, or you know, I do it this way. That's fine. I'm gonna go over what works for us. I'm gonna go over what I feel comfortable with, and I'm gonna go over what I've never rolled an excavator trying to accomplish. You know, the folks that put them up and then flip them around. Problem with doing that is when you flip around, there is a point that that machine can go over. All that centrifugal force, when you're rotating the chassis, you can go over. So I'm gonna give you a few pointers here, give you my own perspective on how to load and unload. We're gonna do a tie down video as well, and then we're gonna continue to do some videos. We finally got caught up around here a little bit, got a lot of our orders filled and had a lot of loads coming in. So now we're gonna try to do some how-to movies and shows so that you guys can kind of get some experience just from watching and say, hey, you know, when I'm on my machine, that's what I was doing wrong. So I'm gonna do this real quick and then we'll see what you guys think. All right, guys, so again, this is an electric machine, which is really neat because you can't hear it. But when you crank this thing, I mean, it puts out a crazy amount of pressure. And I mean, they can be really jumpy if you just hit them. So that's why I wanted to do it with a machine like this. So the first thing we do is I try to go up with the blade behind me most of the time, to be honest. Today, for instruction purposes, we're gonna do it in front of us, but a lot of times the blade will be behind me. And what that does is it actually, two things, doesn't hit my ramp most of the time, and it gives me an extra layer of support. Plus, I can tie down easier, depending on how I want to strap my machine. But again, today, I'm gonna do it forward because a lot of folks load them forward. Again, my own opinion, the blade should be flipped the other way. And then I'm using my boom. Again, this boom is what keeps me alive. I should always have this thing out, acting as a counterweight, as a balance, as something to catch me from going side to side. I should keep it right above the dirt, or the trailer, or the rails, or whatever. So as I come up, I actually lower this because worst case, when I come over and I bop over, it doesn't throw me out like this. If you haven't watched excavator fails, the guys that load them and they go up and they think it's so cool, when it goes like this, it's not so cool. It'll launch you out of the cab. I was on the hood of a D3 one time, and that's the only experience you ever have to get to learn that it's not that cool. So our stuff stays right above this trailer. We run it up, and the other thing you can do, again, you can use that balancing act. So you can see that your boom weighs a couple 100 pounds. If you take this, if you come back, the machine will sit back. If you go forward, the machine will sit forward. So you take this and you can balance it that when you do get to that teeter, you can actually just set yourself down by balancing the boom. See right there, I didn't have a big transition because my boom touched my deck. I know those of you that have this nice pretty trailer, putting those first scratches on, you know, you're not thrilled about it. But the boards and the deck, they're gonna get scratches, and it's a lot nicer to scratch things that can be replaced easily than to roll your machine or hurt yourself. So then as I come up, I just take this and balance myself out. That's it. I mean, and then what I would do, so that the blade's here, my boom will be here, makes it easier to tie down. That's why normally I'll run the blade the other way, because I usually have the boom on the front so that I can hide it in the corner if I need to. If I wanted to side swing it, if I was on a 10-foot trailer or anything like that, it would make life a little simpler. But same going back down, all right? And this is the other reason. This is the other reason I usually have the blade on the other side, because going down is scarier than going up. If I was on a hard decline, the blade and the boom are going to be what keep me level. So when I come back down, you know what, I'm just going to flip this around the trailer just because I really would rather, I think I can fit. Look at that. All right, so when I go down, and again, if I feather this blade and keep it right above the ground, when you go straight down a trailer, and there's trailers that you're going to look like this, that blade will also act like a training wheel. So if you forget or your distance just increases or decreases as you come up and down, the other thing is just roll your bucket back, all right? Everything that bucket hits, it might make a scratch in your asphalt or your concrete. The first time it rains, that scratch will be gone. We've loaded 20,000-pound excavators in this blacktop, and like I said, we scratch it, it rains, it comes back up. But right there, the difference is until I brought that boom up, I was not on my nose. So I'm going to bring it back a little bit now, and then I'm going to restart, put me back on the level, and I'm going to turn this thing down. Some electric motors, like I said, they're just instant power. So that's what you're seeing in this machine. So now that boom, I'm just going to keep it right above the ground, and I'm going to let it ride. You know, when you come down this, you don't have to be on your nose. This machine can make you feel level and balanced and safe. So I'm going to let it ride my front end up, and I'm just going to push it. And I feel great. Now I take that boom and I let her up. I also still have my training wheel still attached down here. So if I would have a further transition than I expected, my training wheel would catch me. So I usually keep this guy down until I get just off the trailer. As you come off, it'll pick up. All right, fellas and ladies, there you go. That's our quick load and unload video. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to have opinions on it. And again, that's fine. But for me, for what we've done in the last 20 years here, with new guys and so on, this is kind of the course we give them. Yes, there's some different tricks and trade secrets, but a lot of you guys haven't run excavators before, and they are one of the most dangerous machines you can run. If you are not careful with an excavator, you will get hurt. You will flip it. Now, a nice thing about micro excavators is typically you survive with some bumps and scratches, but in a big excavator, it's very dangerous to do something that you're not accustomed to doing. You'll see the videos where the guys tip their machines up, no ramp. They'll tip their machine up, and then they'll balance themselves or they'll flip around and pick themselves up. Well, that's great, and I've done it many times, but what they don't show, or unless you watch the fail videos, is when you rotate back around, your centrifugal force from your boom makes a different dynamic. So if you don't get that sucker all the way around and touching the dirt, there's a time when it's about here, you'll go the other way. Your machine will flip back. So just be careful on what you're doing. Don't operate a machine on anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. And if you guys are referencing this video and you have some questions, give us a call. We're happy to talk with you on operating techniques. The other thing would be to make sure when you're digging, you're actually cutting dirt. A lot of people get a hold of us and they're telling us something doesn't feel quite right, not digging quite right, and a lot of times it's technique. You got to picture those teeth have to cut the dirt, the same as you're taking your fingernails and grabbing through the sand, and your fingernails make that cut. Your teeth are what cut the dirt. So if you have your teeth straight down and you try to pull, no, it's not going to fill your bucket up, and no, it's not going to cut the best. Same if you have it rolled all the way back. If it's riding on the rolled part, you're not going to cut very well. So just picture it cutting dirt with the angle of the teeth, and you'll do better in your digging. So again, there you guys go, a quick loading and unloading video. I wish I'd had a little bit steeper incline here to really show you guys what they feel like and look like when you do it wrong. But that kind of gives you the basics. Hey everybody, today we're going to go over how to tie down your equipment. So again, there's going to be lots of opinions. I do not know every DOT law. I'm going to tell you what's been told to me by DOT officers through the years when I got pulled over, and then I'm just going to translate that into here's what I do now. They don't bug me much. So 4-corner tie down, probably the most common one I hear about. To the best of my knowledge, it doesn't have to be 4-corner until over 10,000 pounds. Good practice to do 4-corner. You don't have to do 4-corner, again, to the best of my knowledge, under 10,000 pounds. What do you strap with? What I was told is it has to exceed the rating of your machine. So, you know, if you have a 5,000 pound chain binder and a 10,000 pound machine, and you don't exceed 10,000 pounds, well, then you need another chain binder, you know, that kind of stuff. So again, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to have the, you know, Nick said this, but what I will do is I'm going to show you how to tie down as far as forward, reverse, up, down, and what is supposed to be tied down for the most part. So what I did here is I have the blade behind me and I have the boom in front of me. And the reason I did that is this machine doesn't have any tie down points, no hooks, so nothing's welding on. And that's the most common one we get questions on. A few things. First thing is you can always buy D-rings, and then your D-rings will go on the front corners of your blade. Your chain can run through your D-ring then, and you pull down to your pocket and you're done. On the front, you have your boom. Anything that has rotation or side deflection needs to be restrained. It does not have to be part of your pound rating, but it has to be restrained. Again, that's what I've been told. So what I mean by that is the boom obviously rotates, so that side swing has to be restrained, and you can put it, but you don't have to have a 30,000 pound strap for it. You can do a 1,000 pound strap, just something to keep it in place. So your side swing will have to have one, and then best practice is forward and reverse, or 2 straight down. So I've always been a forward and reverse kind of guy. So what I would do is I would take a strap or a chain. Again, this is only a 3,000 pound unit, and these straps are 33s. So it would be rated to haul this. And for this one, again, there's 5 ways you can do it. We can go through our gussets. We can just run here on the structure. Don't tie down over a line. Do not tie down over a fitting. Don't tie down on something that cannot be pulled. If you're not sure, don't do it. Don't tie down with a 30,000 pound restraint on a 3,000 pound machine and do 4-corner tie down and expect it to hold it. You're going to hurt stuff. And I've actually had that one happen. We had a guy bring these massive chains and binders, and he bought a 2,000 pound skid loader, tied around the drive motors. We never seen it. You know, guy told us he was a professional truck driver. We don't babysit. And he cranked that sucker. Well, he made a tug of war with his chains and ended up bending the drive motors out that, you know, we ended up fixing then. But you don't got to go that crazy. So it just has to be around something structural, something part of the machine. And then this one, we're going to go forward. So this one would just go forward, and then we would do the same thing. We would take this back. We could also do it around the chassis. You can do it around the boom. Again, anything structural that you're not going to hurt, a fitting or a line, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could go around the entire slew gear and rotate front and do it again and rotate back. If you do it that way, you're actually catching the tracks as well, so that's extra down pressure. But you want to make down pressure, and again, kind of a tug of war. So then going the other way, we would just do the same thing. We would come back here. And the blade's always the easiest. If I had D-rings, I would just hook into the corner of the blade and go to the D-ring back here. And I would do the same thing over here. Or you could run your chain through and come back to your D-rings. So this one, I'm just going to run up and down over my gussets. And then come back to my D-ring I already have on my trailer. For those of you that are going to give me slack about the extra hanging here, I would normally wind that up and put it inside my binder, but we're going to take this off in 30 seconds anyway. So normally I would take that either, or use it as an extra restraint. If you've got a seat that bounces, anything loose. I mean, or anything that you feel might have an issue later. I've taken already where my Bobcat cabs were missing the bolts in the front corner. If you've never done this one, man, is it a cool sight? Buy an auction machine, Bobcat, pulled it on the trailer, and they have just two nuts in the front. That's what holds the cab down. And driving down 83 about 75 miles an hour, and I look behind me and my load looks like it's 15 feet tall because the cab is flipped up because there was no nuts inside it. And I'm so glad it become a habit. I almost hit a bridge when I first started doing this stuff. So it become a habit. Anytime I got towards bridges, I would look in my rearview mirror. So glad I looked that day. So anyway, I would just take something like this, and I would take it and I just tie it. Like I said, that way my seat's not bouncing around, nothing's rattling. But normally, if there's nothing that I see that needs to be tied down, I'll just flip it all in and then stick it inside the binder. So there you go, though. So I'm pulling back. I'll snug this one up. I won't go crazy. And then I'll come up here and I'll do the same thing. This one provides some more down pressure because it's higher. I prefer it to be a little bit higher, but again, we're hauling a 3,000-pound excavator on this one. We don't need it. So this one I would just hook in, tighten it down. And then I personally just put something through here. And it's a 1,000-pound strap. If it's a bigger unit, I'll probably use a 3,300-pound strap. And, you know, even if I just have 3,300-pounders in the truck, that will keep my side deflection for sure. Now, this will technically tie it down, but I prefer the guys in pretty lights and not to get behind me. So I usually make it look like a spider web. So I'll usually still add one out here just so they don't check me. So there you go. That's how you tie down. Again, this machine only weighs 3,000 pounds, so straps is fine. We're attaining 7,000 pounds of tie down almost. And we have tongue weight for our trailer. Obviously, this trailer is plenty sufficient, but if this was a 3,000 GVW trailer, we were splitting some of that weight towards the tongue, that way that the trailer wasn't overloaded, and we're pulling back, we're pulling front, and it can be obtained however you want to obtain it. And the other thing you guys can do is if you really need a hook, weld a D-ring on the side or a hook on the side, or weld it on your chassis, somewhere again that it's already structural, that it's not going to deal with your hydraulic lines. Get a chain hook and just weld it on there. I mean, it takes minutes. So if it's really important for you to have that, if you move your excavator 5 times a day, I get it. Otherwise, this is going to be sufficient. Until you get into the big machines, which the big machines already have hook places in them, you're not going to move your machine a lot, and then when you do, a strap is going to be sufficient. So there you go. There is your tie down video. We just did a load video. We appreciate you guys watching. We're going to do a few more videos today, and if you guys are interested in the machine, give us a call, 570-837-1003 or 570-837-1016. We'll catch you guys later. Thank you. Have a good day.